The next topic is behavioral and psychological studies. Some studies have applied behavioral techniques such as dichotic listening to children with normal development and provided the clearest picture of the development of lateralization to date. What do we mean by dichotic listening? Dichotic listening is basically a psychological test which is used to investigate the selective attention within the auditory system. Now, this test is basically to investigate the behavior, and it's also a subtopic of cognitive psychology as well as neuroscience. Lateralization of brain and behavior refer to the fact that hemispheres differentially control behavior. We also have the understanding of genetic aspect to do with this, and there is a consensus which says that genetic has to do with the heritability, and heritability refers to the model or modeling of heritability with regard to handedness in language. Especially it's the phenomena which runs in a family. According to studies, 7.6% of children who are left-handed are the ones that their parents are right-handed. Now the percentage increases to 19.6 when one of the parents is left-handed, and the percentage is increased to 54.5% where both parents are left-handed. So you see that the aspect of heritability is also there. Now we will move on to see that how further studies which have been conducted in this area reflect on the understanding of the behavioral and the hemispheric functioning with regard to this particular aspect which has to do with the behavior. And as we have mentioned that hemispheres differentially control the behaviors. Here we have this study conducted by Kimura, and according to them, he was actually one of the first to report that children as young as 4 to 6 years could produce adult-like right ear advantage on the dichotic task. Then in addition, studies of very young infants have been found right ear advantage for speech as well. The investigators, they studied infant perception using the high amplitude sucking procedure. When infants habituated to a particular sound, that is when their sucking rate decreased, a different sound was substituted. The researchers found that the right ear was better at responding to changes in speech, whereas the left ear was better with changes in musical stimuli. Molfis and Betts, they have demonstrated that infants between 1 week and 1 month of age, they showed greater amplitude, evoked potential responses from the right hemisphere in speech with regard to speech stimuli. The infants who showed greater right hemisphere responses to non-speech stimuli such as music or noise. Now, first important thing is that we see that greater amplitude evoked potential responses from right hemisphere with regard to response or having a response to speech stimuli, and they also showed greater right hemisphere responses to non-speech stimuli, which is speech or noise. Moreover, some anatomical studies have found that a portion of temporal lobe associated with language functioning in adult is larger on the left hemisphere than on the right, not only for the adults but also for the infants. The upshot that lateralization may be present at birth, but that children may need to learn how to use their linguistic skills to perform appropriately on dichotic listening and visual field test. Studies of hemispherectomies and brain damage in children, although harder to interpret, are consistent with the hypothesis that hemisphere asymmetry is present at birth. To conclude, behavioral and psychological studies have been applied to child with normal development by using dichotic listening and conclude that lateralization is present at birth.